Lisa Martinez sat at her desk in the quiet communication room of the Pegasus station. The station floated in the dark space at the edge of human territory. Lisa had been working the night shift for 3 years now. Most nights were boring. She would listen to empty radio waves and write reports about nothing. But tonight was different. A strange sound came through her headphones. It was not like the usual space noise or signals from Earth ships. This sound had a pattern. It repeated over and over. Lisa turned up the volume and listened carefully. The signal was weak but steady. Lisa had never heard anything like it before. She called over to her partner, Danny Clark, who was reading a book at the next desk. "Danny, come listen to this," Lisa said. "I think we got something weird here." Danny walked over and put on the spare headphones. He listened for a few minutes. His face showed surprise. "That's not from any human ship," Danny said. "The frequency is all wrong. And the pattern, it's like someone is trying to talk." Lisa felt her heart beat faster. In all her years at the station, she had never found a real alien signal. Most people thought aliens did not exist. But here was proof that they were wrong. "We need to tell Commander Sullivan," Lisa said. Commander Jake Sullivan was sleeping in his quarters when Lisa and Danny woke him up. Jake was a tough man who had fought in the wars on Mars. He did not get excited about small things. But when he heard the signal, his expression changed. "How long has this been coming in?" Jake asked. "About an hour," Lisa replied. "It's getting stronger." Jake rubbed his beard and thought. "Can we figure out what it says?" "I already started running it through the computer," Danny said. "The AI is trying to find patterns." They went to the main computer room. The station's eye was working hard to decode the alien message. Numbers and symbols filled the screens. After 2 hours, words began to appear. The message was a cry for help. Emergency. Emergency. This is the Vellani Coalition. Our worlds are under attack. The Kreks hunt us like animals. We are dying. Please. Anyone who can hear this. We need help. The message went on to describe terrible things. The aliens called themselves the Vellani. They said they were peaceful people who had never hurt anyone. But another alien race called the Kreks was attacking them. The Kreks were destroying their cities and killing their families. Jake read the message 3 times. His military training told him this could be a trap, but something in the words felt real. These aliens were scared and desperate. "Where is this coming from?" Jake asked. Lisa checked her instruments. "The Kepler 442 system. It's about 40 light years from here." "That's deep space," Danny said. "No human has ever been that far." Jake made a decision. "Send this to Earth Command right away. Mark it as urgent." Lisa transmitted the alien message to Earth. Then they waited. The signal from the Vellani kept coming. Each message sounded more desperate than the last. "We have lost 3 more worlds. The Kreks ships are everywhere. Our children are afraid. Please help us." 3 days later, Earth Command sent a reply. Admiral Helen Crawford herself was on the video call. She was the highest-ranking officer in the human fleet. "Commander Sullivan," the Admiral said, "this is the most important discovery in human history. We are sending the 3rd Fleet to investigate." "The 3rd Fleet?" Jake was surprised. "That's our best ships." "Captain Ryan Hayes will command the mission," the Admiral continued. "The fleet will leave Earth tomorrow. Your job is to keep monitoring the alien signals and send us any new information." Jake felt excited and nervous at the same time. Humans were about to meet aliens for the first time. No one knew what would happen. The next few days passed quickly. The Vellani messages kept coming, but they were getting weaker. The aliens were losing their war against the Kreks. Time was running out. Lisa worked extra shifts to catch every signal. She learned more about the Vellani from their messages. They were not just one species, but 5 different alien races working together. They had built a peaceful society based on trade and friendship. The Kreks were the opposite. They were hunters who came from harsh, dangerous worlds. They conquered other species and made them slaves. The Vellani had tried to negotiate, but the Kreks only wanted to destroy. The Kreks call us weak, one message said. They say we are prey animals. They do not understand that we choose peace because we are strong enough to choose it. Danny shook his head as he read the message. These Vellani sound like good people. They don't deserve what's happening to them. Lisa agreed. She had started to feel connected to the aliens. Even though she had never seen them, she cared about their fate. Commander Sullivan called a meeting of all the senior staff. He showed them star charts and explained the situation. The Third Fleet will reach the Kepler system in 2 weeks, he said. Captain Hayes has 12 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers, and 4 support ships. It's the largest fleet humans have ever sent outside our solar system. Do you think we can beat these Kreks? Asked Chief Engineer Patricia Davis. Jake looked at the data they had gathered. The Kreks are tough fighters, but they've never fought humans before. They don't know what we're capable of. Lisa thought about Earth and all the dangerous things that live there. Humans had survived ice ages, volcanoes, earthquakes, and diseases. They had fought wars against each other for thousands of years. Maybe that experience would help them know. I hope Captain Hayes knows what he's getting into, she said. Jake smiled grimly. If anyone can handle this, it's Hayes. He's fought in more battles than anyone else in the fleet. The alien signals continued to arrive. Each day brought news of more Vellani worlds falling to the Kreks, but there was also news that gave hope. The Vellani had managed to gather their remaining people on one heavily defended world. They were making their last stand. We will not give up, the latest message said. We will fight until the end. But we still hope that someone will hear our call and come to help us. Lisa looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the human fleet was racing through space toward an unknown enemy. The fate of an entire alien civilization depended on them. Good luck, Captain Hayes, she whispered. Don't let them down. Captain Ryan Hayes stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Valkyrie, watching the stars streak by through the main window. The ship was moving faster than any human vessel had ever traveled before. Behind him, 23 other ships of the Third Fleet followed in perfect formation. How long until we reach the Kepler system? Hayes asked his navigation officer. 8 days, sir, replied Tony Garcia. We're making good time. Hayes nodded. He was a tall man with gray hair and scars from old battles. He had commanded ships for 20 years, but this mission was different from any other. This time, they were going to help aliens dot in the ship's science lab. Dr. Karen White was studying every piece of information they had about the Vellani and the Kreks. She had been Earth's top expert on alien life, even though no one had ever found aliens before. The Vellani messages are fascinating, she told her assistant. They describe 5 different species that learn to work together. One species is good at building things. Another is good at growing food. They each contribute something different. What? About the Kreks? Asked her assistant. Karen's face grew serious. The Kreks are hunters. They come from worlds where everything is dangerous. Hot temperatures, poisonous air, deadly creatures. Only the strongest survive. Sounds like a tough place to live, the assistant said. Yes, but not as tough as Earth. Karen replied. I've been comparing the data. The Kreks' whole world is dangerous, but Earth is worse. We have earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, droughts, ice ages, and thousands of species that can kill humans. The Kreks think they're from a death world, but they have no idea what a real death world looks like. Down in the marine section of the ship, Colonel Lisa Brown was training her soldiers. She had brought 500 of the best fighters in the human military. They practiced combat moves and studied alien weapons. The Kreks are bigger and stronger than humans, she told her troops, but they're used to fighting weak prey. They've never fought someone who fights back hard. Sergeant Michelle Torres raised her hand. Colonel, what if their weapons are better than ours? Good question, Lisa replied. We don't know yet. But humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how to adapt and overcome. The Kreks have been bullying weaker species. There's a big difference. The soldiers nodded. They had trained for years to fight other humans. Now they would use those skills to protect aliens. In the communication room, Lieutenant Commander Steve Morgan was listening to new messages from the Valani. The aliens were still sending updates about their situation. The Kreks have surrounded our last world, one message said. They are demanding our surrender. We have refused. Our children ask why someone would want to hurt us when we have done nothing wrong. We do not know how to answer them. Steve felt angry reading the message. He had children of his own back on Earth. The thought of alien monsters threatening innocent kids made him want to fight. Captain Hayes called a meeting of his senior officers. They gathered in the main conference room to discuss their strategy. We have 8 days to figure out how to beat the Kreks, Hayes said. I want ideas. Dr. White spoke first. Based on the Velani descriptions, the Kreks have about 30 warships surrounding their world. Each ship is larger than our cruisers. That's not good odds, said Tony Garcia. Maybe not, said Colonel Brown. But the Kreks are used to fighting enemies who run away. They've never faced someone who attacks back. Engineer Patricia Davis had been quiet during the meeting. Now she spoke up. I've been thinking about their technology. The Velani say the Krek ships are big and scary looking. But scary doesn't mean effective. Humans build our ships to win battles, not to frighten enemies. What do you mean? Hayes asked. The Kreks probably focus on intimidation, Patricia explained. Big ships, loud weapons, frightening appearance. But our ships are designed for speed, firepower, and protection. You might have an advantage. Steve Morgan added his thoughts. The Velani messages show that the Kreks always demand surrender first. They're used to enemies giving up without a fight. They might not be ready for a real battle. Hayes listened to all the ideas. Then he made his decision. We're going to hit them hard and fast. No warnings, no surrender demands. We'll strike before they know what's happening. The days passed quickly as the fleet traveled through space. The crew studied everything they could about their enemies. They practiced battle drills and planned different attack strategies. Dr. White made an important discovery on the 5th day. She was analyzing the Kreks' language when she found something interesting. Captain, I think I understand why the Kreks are so successful, she said. They have a concept called the Great Hunt. They believe that strong species should hunt weak ones. It's not just about resources or territory. It's about proving who is the strongest. So they're not just conquerors, Hayes said. They're predators, exactly. And they think all other species are prey. The Velani messages describe how shocked the Kreks were when the Velani fought back at all. They expected complete submission. Hayes smiled grimly. They're about to learn that humans are not prey. On the 7th day, something unexpected happened. The Velani sent a new type of message. This one was directed specifically at the approaching human fleet. Unknown friends, the message said. We have detected your ships approaching our system. We are grateful beyond words. But we must warn you about the Kreks. They are apex predators from Deathworlds. They are stronger and more dangerous than anything you can imagine. Please do not sacrifice yourselves for us. We will understand if you choose to turn back." The message touched everyone who heard it. Even facing destruction, the Velani were trying to protect the humans who had come to help them. Hayes called another meeting. "The Velani don't want us to die for them. They think we're too weak to fight the Kreks." "They don't know about Earth," said Dr. White. "They don't know what humans are capable of." "Should we tell them?" asked Steve Morgan. Hayes thought about it. "Not yet. Let's surprise everyone." Colonel Brown smiled. "The Kreks think they're apex predators." "Wait until they meet real apex predators," the crew agreed. They would let their actions speak for them. On the 8th day, the fleet reached the edge of the Kepler system. Long-range sensors showed exactly what the Velani had described. 30 large Krek ships surrounded a blue-green world. The alien vessels were dark and angular, designed to look frightening. "They're bigger than our ships," Tony Garcia reported. "But they're not moving in formation. They're just sitting there like they own the place." "Arrogant," said Hayes. "That's good. Arrogant enemies make mistakes." Dr. White was studying the sensor data. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from the planet. The Velani have some kind of shield protecting their world." "How long can it last?" Hayes asked. "Not long. The Kreks are bombarding it constantly. I'd say maybe 2 days before it fails." Hayes nodded. "Then we don't have time to be careful. All ships, prepare for combat. We're going in." The human fleet moved deeper into the system. The Kreks had not detected them yet. The element of surprise was still on their side. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're receiving a message from the Velani. They're asking us to identify ourselves." Hayes picked up the microphone. "This is Captain Ryan Hayes of the human fleet. We received your distress call. We're here to help." There was a long pause. Then the response came. "Humans? We do not know this species. Are you from a death world?" Hayes smiled. "Yes, we are. Don't worry. We know how to handle bullies." The Velani were quiet for a moment. Then they sent another message. "We are honored by your bravery, but the Kreks are too strong. You should save yourselves." "We didn't come this far to run away," Hayes replied. "Trust us. We know what we're doing." The human fleet took position behind a large asteroid field. They were now only a few hours away from the Kreks' forces. Soon, the galaxy would learn that Earth's children were not prey. They were hunters. The human fleet waited quietly behind the asteroid field. Captain Hayes studied the enemy ships through his telescope. The Kreks' vessels were indeed massive, with sharp edges and dark metal that seemed to absorb light. They looked like giant predators, floating in space. "They're not even watching for enemies," said Tony Garcia. "All their weapons are pointed at the planet." 30 ships, counted Colonel Brown. "They've got us outnumbered." Dr. White was analyzing the Krek ship designs. "Captain, I think Patricia was right. These ships are built to scare people, not to fight real battles. Look at those weapon placements. They're all on the front of the ships. What does that mean?" Hayes asked. "It means they're designed to attack enemies who can't fight back," Dr. White explained. "They probably just fly straight at their targets and fire. But if an enemy attacks from the side or behind, they're vulnerable." Hayes nodded. "Good. What else do we know?" Lieutenant Commander Steve Morgan had been listening to Kreks communications. "Sir, I've been monitoring their radio chatter. They're not speaking to each other much. Each ship seems to be operating alone. No coordination," Hayes said. "They're not used to working as a team because they've never needed to. The plan was taking shape. The human fleet would use their superior tactics and teamwork to defeat the larger Kreks force." "Sir," said the communications officer. "We're getting a message from the planet. The Velani want to talk to us." Hayes accepted the call. A strange voice spoke through the speakers. It sounded gentle and musical, very different from human voices. "Captain Hayes, this is Elder Zephyr of the Gentle Ones. We are the leaders of the Velani Coalition. We must speak with you before you attack the Krex." "Go ahead," Hayes replied. "We have been studying your ships," the voice continued. "We do not understand. You say you are from a death world, but your vessels are small compared to the Krex. How do you plan to fight them?" Hayes smiled. "Elder Zephyr, we humans have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog." There was a pause. "We do not understand this saying." "You will," Hayes said. "Can you tell us about Krex tactics?" "They always attack the same way," Elder Zephyr replied. "They fly straight at their target and fire all weapons. They rely on fear and overwhelming power. Most species surrender when they see the Krex fleet approaching." "Most species," Hayes repeated, "but not all. There have been a few who tried to fight back," the elder admitted. "The Krex destroyed them quickly. The Krex are apex predators from harsh worlds. They are stronger and more dangerous than anything else in the galaxy." Dr. White spoke up. "Elder Zephyr, can you tell us about the Krex homeworld?" "It is a terrible place," the elder replied. "High gravity, extreme temperatures, poisonous atmosphere. Only the strongest creatures can survive there." "What about your world?" Dr. White asked. "Our worlds are peaceful. Gentle weather, clean air, abundant food. We built our civilization on harmony with nature." Dr. White looked at Captain Hayes. "Tell them about Earth." Hayes thought for a moment. "Elder Zephyr, our homeworld is different from yours. We have earthquakes that can split mountains, storms that can destroy cities, oceans that can swallow ships, volcanoes that can cover the sky with ash, ice ages that last for thousands of years, and thousands of species that can kill a human." The elder was quiet for a long time. "Your world sounds more dangerous than the Krex homeworld." "Much more dangerous," Hayes confirmed. "But we learn to survive. We learn to fight. We learn to work together. And we learn to protect those who cannot protect themselves." "We begin to understand," the elder said. "You are also apex predators." "Yes," Hayes replied. "But we chose to be protectors instead of hunters." The conversation was interrupted by an alarm. The Krex had detected the human fleet. "Sir," reported the sensor operator, "the Krex ships are moving. They're turning toward us." Hayes looked at the tactical display. The enemy ships were indeed turning, but slowly and clumsily. They were not used to changing targets quickly. "All ships, this is Captain Hayes," he announced over the fleet communication system. "The Krex know we're here. It's time to show them what humans can do. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every peaceful species in the galaxy." The human ships powered up their weapons and engines. The crew members took their battle positions. After weeks of preparation, the moment had finally arrived. "Sir," said Steve Morgan, "we're receiving a message from the Krex fleet." "Put it through," Hayes ordered. A harsh, growling voice filled the bridge. "Unknown species, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed. We are the Krex Dominion. We are the apex predators of the galaxy. You cannot defeat us." Hayes picked up the microphone. "This is Captain Ryan Hayes of the human fleet. We don't surrender to bullies. If you want to fight, you've got one." The Krex response was immediate and angry. "You will regret this decision, weak prey species. We will crush your ships and enslave your people." "Good luck with that," Hayes replied calmly. The Krex ships began moving toward the human fleet. They moved in a straight line. just as the Valani had described. All 30 ships were bunched together, making them an easy target. "They're not even trying to surround us," observed Tony Garcia. "They don't know how," said Colonel Brown. "They've never fought anyone who fought back." Hayes gave the order. "All ships, execute battle plan Alpha. Hit them hard and fast." The human fleet split into 3 groups. The first group, led by Hayes, would attack the Krex ships head-on. The second group would circle around and attack from the side. The third group would provide long-range support. The Krex commander was War Leader Skarks, a massive reptilian creature with claws like knives and teeth like spears. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human ships approach. "They are small," he told his officers. "This will be easy." But as the human fleet got closer, Skarks began to notice something strange. The human ships were not flying in a straight line like every other species did. They were moving in complex patterns, covering each other and coordinating their attacks. "What are they doing?" Skarks demanded. His officers had no answer. They had never seen anything like it. The battle began when the first human ships came within range. Instead of firing all their weapons at once, like the Krex expected, the humans fired in carefully planned sequences. Each shot was aimed at weak points in the Krex ships that the Krex returned fire, but their shots missed. The human ships were too fast and too unpredictable. They darted between the Krex vessels like small fish swimming around large sharks. "Impossible," Skarks growled. "They are too small to hurt us." But the human weapons were more powerful than they looked. Each shot was precise and deadly. The first Krex ship lost its engines and began to drift helplessly. The second group of human ships attacked from the side, just as Dr. White had predicted. The Krex ships had no weapons facing that direction. They tried to turn to face the new threat, but they were too slow. "They are coordinating their attacks," one of Skarks' officers reported. "Each ship knows what the others are doing." Skarks was confused. How could such small ships work together so well? In his experience, only the strongest ship commanded the others. But these humans seemed to be helping each other. The third group of human ships began firing from long range. Their missiles flew through space with deadly accuracy. 2 more Krex ships were disabled. "Sir," reported the Krex communications officer, "we're losing ships. The humans are too fast for us to hit." Skarks roared in anger. "We are the apex predators. We cannot be defeated by prey." But the humans were not acting like prey. They were acting like predators themselves. They moved with purpose and intelligence. They worked together like a pack of wolves hunting much larger prey. Captain Hayes watched the battle from his bridge. The human fleet was winning, but the fight was far from over. The Krex still had more ships, and they were beginning to adapt to human tactics. "Sir," reported the weapons officer, "we've disabled 6 Krex ships, but they're starting to spread out." "Good," Hayes said. "Now we can pick them off one by one." Elder Zephyr of the Gentle Wines watched the battle from the planet's surface. The Velani had never seen anything like it. The humans fought with a combination of intelligence, courage, and teamwork that amazed them. "They are not just strong," the Elder told the other Velani leaders. "They are smart. They understand that working together makes them more powerful than fighting alone." The battle continued for 3 hours. The human fleet used their speed and coordination to outmaneuver the larger Krex ships. One by one, the enemy vessels were disabled or destroyed. War Leader Skarks realized that his forces were being defeated. For the first time in his life, he was facing an enemy that was stronger than his own forces. "Who are these humans?" he demanded, but there was no answer. The humans were unlike any species the Krex had ever encountered. They were proving that size and strength were not everything. Intelligence, teamwork, and determination could overcome any advantage as the battle turned in favor of the humans. The Vellani began to hope. Maybe, just maybe, they would survive after all. The space battle had been raging for 4 hours. Half of the Krex ships were now disabled or destroyed, but the remaining 15 were fighting with desperate fury. War leader Skarx had finally understood that he was facing a real enemy, not helpless prey. All ships, focus fire on the human command vessel, Skarx ordered. If we destroy their leader, the rest will scatter. But the Krex commander did not understand human military doctrine. Unlike the Krex, who followed one supreme leader, humans had trained all their officers to take command if needed. Destroying one ship would not stop the human fleet. Captain Hayes saw the enemy ships turning toward his vessel. They're concentrating on us, he told his crew. All power to shields. The used Valkyrie shook under the combined fire of 5 Krex ships. The shields held, but they were weakening fast. Sir, reported the damage control officer, we can't take much more of this. Hayes made a quick decision. Colonel Brown, prepare your Marines for boarding action. We're going to take the fight to them. Down in the Marine Bay, Colonel Lisa Brown was already suiting up her soldiers. She had been waiting for this moment. The space battle was important, but sometimes you had to fight face-to-face to win a war. Listen up, she told her troops. We're going to board the Krex command ship. Our job is to capture or destroy their leader. Sergeant Torres, you'll lead the first squad. Corporal Johnson, you take the second squad. I'll lead the third. The Marines checked their weapons and armor. They had trained for this mission, but no one knew what to expect inside an alien warship. Remember, Colonel Brown continued, the Krex are bigger and stronger than humans. But they're not used to fighting enemies who fight back. Use your speed and intelligence. Work as a team. And don't give them time to think. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, the Vellani were watching the battle with growing hope. But they were also preparing for the worst. If the humans lost, the Krex would be angrier than ever. Elder Zephyr of the Gentle Winds spoke to the Vellani defense coordinators. If the humans are defeated, we must be ready to evacuate the children to the deep shelters. But Commander Steve Morgan had a different plan. He had been studying the Krex communications, and he had learned something important. Captain, he reported to Hayes, the Krex are getting nervous. They're not used to losing battles. Their morale is breaking down. What do you mean? Hayes asked. They're starting to argue with each other. Some ships want to retreat. Others want to fight to the death. They're not working together anymore. Hayes smiled. Then it's time to finish this. All ships, prepare for final assault. The human fleet regrouped and attacked with everything they had. The remaining Krex ships were scattered and confused. Without proper coordination, they were easy targets. But war leader Skarx was not ready to give up. He ordered his flagship to ram the UE's Valkyrie. If he was going to die, he would take the human commander with him. Sir, warned Tony Garcia, the Krex command ship is on a collision course. They're going to ram us. Hayes saw the massive enemy ship approaching. There was no time to get out of the way. But he had one more trick to play. All Marines, prepare for boarding, he ordered. We're going to meet them halfway. The 2 ships crashed together with tremendous force. The used Valkyrie was smaller, but it was built stronger. The human ship survived the impact, but it was locked together with the Krex flagship. Now, shouted Colonel Brown. The Marines blasted through the hull of the Krex ship and poured into the enemy vessel. The corridors inside were dark and filled with smoke. Strange alien voices could be heard shouting in panic. The first Krex warrior they encountered was 8 feet tall with sharp claws and armor-like skin. It roared and charged at Sergeant Torres. Torres rolled to the side and fired her weapon at the creature's legs. The Krex warrior fell, and 2 more Marines finished it. Off. Keep moving, Colonel Brown ordered. Don't give them time to organize. The Marines fought their way through the ship, using tactics the Krex had never seen before. They moved in small groups, covering each other and attacking from multiple directions at once. The Krex were confused and frightened. They were used to fighting enemies who ran away or surrendered. These humans kept coming no matter what. What are these creatures? One Krex warrior asked another. I don't know, was the reply. They fight like demons. War leader Skarks was on the bridge of his ship, trying to coordinate the defense. But the humans were moving too fast and hitting too many targets at once. Sir, reported one of his officers, the humans have taken the engine room. We've lost main power. And they've captured the weapons control center, added another officer. Skarks roared in fury. How can such small creatures defeat us? We are the apex predators of the galaxy. The answer came from Colonel Brown herself. She and her SQUAD had fought their way to the bridge. They burst through the door with weapons ready. Skarks was even more impressive in person. He was 10 feet tall with muscles like steel cables. His claws could tear through metal, and his teeth could bite through bone. But he was also wounded and alone. Surrender, Colonel Brown demanded. Your ship is taken. Your fleet is defeated. There's no point in more killing. Skarks laughed bitterly. You think you have won? You have only faced one hunting pack. There are thousands of Krex ships in the galaxy. They will come for you. Let them come, Colonel Brown replied. We'll be ready. The Krex commander studied. The human Marine leader. She was small compared to him, but she showed no fear. Her soldiers were ready to die for her, and she was ready to die for them. You are not prey, Skarks said finally. You are predators like us. No, Colonel Brown corrected him. We're protectors. There's a difference. The space battle was over. The remaining Krex ships had either been destroyed or had fled the system. The human fleet had won a complete victory, but the cost had been high. 3 human ships were heavily damaged, and many good people had died. The U's Valkyrie was crippled and would need months of repairs. Captain Hayes stood on his damaged bridge and spoke to the fleet. We've won the battle, but the war is just beginning. The Krex will be back, and they'll bring more ships next time. Dr. White had been studying the captured Krex technology. Captain, I think we can use their own weapons against them. These ships are powerful, but they're not well designed. We can improve them. Engineer Patricia Davis agreed. The Krex focus on intimidation instead of efficiency. If we combine their raw power with our engineering knowledge, we can build better ships. Elder Zephyr of the Gentle Winds contacted the human fleet from the planet. Captain Hayes, we cannot thank you enough. You have saved our people from extinction. It was the right thing to do, Hayes replied. But this is just the beginning. We need to work together to make sure this never happens again, the Vellani leader agreed. We offer you everything we have. Our technology, our knowledge, our friendship. Together, we can build a better galaxy. Steve Morgan had been monitoring communications from across the galaxy. Captain, word of our victory is spreading. Other species are asking for help. The Krex have been bullying everyone for centuries. Hayes nodded. Then we have work to do. But first, we need to get home and tell Earth what we've learned. Colonel Brown brought war leader Skarks to the human command ship. The Krex commander was now a prisoner, but he was also a source of valuable information. Your species will regret this victory, Skarks told Captain Hayes. The Krex Empire spans hundreds of worlds. When they learn what happened here, they will send the Grand Fleet. How many ships? Hayes asked. More than you can imagine, Skarks replied. Thousands of warships, millions of warriors. Your small fleet cannot stop them all. Dr. White had been listening to the conversation. War leader, why do the Kreks attack? Peaceful species? What do you gain from it? Skarks looked puzzled by the question. We are predators. It is our nature to hunt. The weak exist to feed the strong. This is the way of the galaxy. But the Vellani never hurt you, Dr. White pointed out. They just wanted to live in peace. Peace is weakness, Skarks growled. Those who cannot defend themselves deserve to be conquered. Colonel Brown shook her head. That's where you're wrong. The Vellani aren't weak because they choose peace. They're strong enough to choose peace. There's a difference. Skarks did not understand, but he was beginning to realize that humans thought very differently from Kreks. Meanwhile, the human fleet was helping to repair the damage to the Vellani world. The planet's shields had held, but many cities had been damaged by Kreks' bombardment. The Vellani were amazed by human efficiency. In just a few days, the humans had organized rescue operations, medical aid, and reconstruction efforts. They worked alongside the Vellani as equals, not as conquerors. Your people are remarkable, Elder Zephyr told Captain Hayes. You fight like warriors, but you care like healers. That's what makes us human, Hayes replied. We learned long ago that the strongest civilizations are built on cooperation, not domination. The Vellani began sharing their technology with the humans. They had developed amazing medical treatments, clean energy systems, and food production methods. In return, the humans shared their military knowledge and defensive strategies. But time was running short. Scout ships reported that more Kreks forces were gathering at the edge of the The journey back to Earth took 2 weeks. During that time, the human crew got to know their Vellani passengers. The aliens were fascinated by everything about humans and their ships. Dr. Karen White spent hours talking with the Vellani scientists. They shared knowledge about biology, physics, and medicine. The Vellani were amazed by how humans had adapted to survive on such a dangerous world. Your planet has shaped you in remarkable ways, said Sage who studies life, one of the Vellani scientists. Every challenge made your species stronger and more creative. It wasn't always easy, Dr. White replied. Humans almost went extinct several times. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, diseases. But we survived by working together and never giving up. Meanwhile, Colonel Lisa Brown was training with Vellani defense coordinators. The aliens had never fought a real war, but they were eager to learn. We understand now that peace must sometimes be defended with force, said Protector of the Young, a Vellani who had volunteered for military training. We cannot let bullies hurt innocent people. When the fleet reached Earth's solar system, Admiral Helen Crawford was waiting with a massive welcoming committee. News of the victory at Kepler 442 had spread throughout human space. People were calling the crew heroes, but Captain Hayes knew the celebration was premature. The real battle was still coming. The Vellani ships were given permission to orbit Earth, while their representatives visited the surface. It was a historic moment. The first aliens to see humanity's homeworld, Elder Zephyr of the Gentle Ones, stood in the observation deck of the space station and looked down at Earth. The planet was beautiful, but obviously dangerous. Massive storm systems swirled over the oceans. Lightning flashed in the clouds. Ice covered the polar regions. Now we understand, the Elder said quietly. This world would kill most species, but it made humans strong. Down on the planet's surface, Admiral Crawford was meeting with world leaders to discuss the Kreks threat. Captain Hayes and his senior officers gave detailed reports about the enemy's capabilities. Based on what war leader Skarks told us, the Kreks Empire has thousands of ships, Hayes explained. They'll be coming for revenge, and they won't underestimate U.S. this time. President Martinez of the Earth Union listened carefully. What do we need to prepare for their attack? More ships, Hayes replied. Better weapons and allies. lots of allies. Dr. White presented her analysis of Krek's technology. Their ships are powerful but poorly designed. We can build better vessels using a combination of human engineering and Vallani science. Engineer Patricia Davis had been working with Vallani. Technicians to develop new designs. The Vallani have incredible energy systems. If we combine those with human weapons and armor, we can build ships that are stronger than anything the Kreks have. The next few months were a time of intense preparation. Shipyards across human space worked around the clock to build new vessels. The Vallani shared their technology freely, and humans taught them military tactics. But the most important development was diplomatic. Word of the human victory had spread across the galaxy, and other species were asking for help. Many civilizations had been oppressed by the Kreks for centuries, but none had been strong enough to resist. Ambassador Lisa Torres, formerly Sergeant Torres, had been promoted to handle alien relations. She traveled to dozens of worlds, building alliances and sharing defensive strategies. We're not asking anyone to fight our battles, she told the representatives of various species. We're offering to stand together against tyranny. The response was overwhelming. Dozens of species joined what became known as the Galactic Defense Alliance. Each species contributed what they could: technology, resources, intelligence, or soldiers. The Zephyrians were master engineers who built incredible fortifications. The Aquari had developed stealth technology that could hide entire fleets. The Christian possessed weapons that could disrupt Krek's communications. But the most surprising allies were former Krek subjects, species that had been conquered but never fully broken. They provided detailed intelligence about Krek's military operations and weak points in their empire. 6 months after the Battle of Kepler 442, the Krek's response finally came. Long-range sensors detected a massive fleet approaching from the galactic core. War leader Vorthik, Skarks' superior, was leading 3,000 warships toward Earth. They're not making the same mistake twice, observed Admiral Crawford. This time they're bringing everything they have. But humanity and their allies were ready. The Galactic Defense Alliance had assembled the largest defensive fleet in galactic history. 2,000 ships from 40 different species stood ready to defend Earth and the principle of freedom. Captain Hayes, now promoted to Admiral, commanded the defense fleet from his new flagship, the UES Liberty. The ship was a marvel of engineering, combining the best technology from a dozen different species. All ships, this is Admiral Hayes, he announced to the fleet. 6 months ago we went to help some aliens we'd never met. Today, we stand together as friends and allies. The Kreks think they can conquer the galaxy through fear and violence. Let's show them they're wrong. The Battle of Sol was the largest space battle in galactic history. 3,000 Krek ships faced 2,000 Alliance vessels in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. But this time, the outcome was never in doubt. The Alliance ships fought with perfect coordination, using tactics and technology the Kreks had never encountered. Each species contributed their unique strengths to the common cause. War leader Vorthik was shocked by the resistance. How can so many species work together? He demanded. They should be fighting each other, not us. But that was exactly what the Kreks could never understand. The Alliance was stronger because of their differences, not weaker. Each species brought something valuable to the fight. The battle lasted 8 hours. When it was over, the Krek's fleet was destroyed. War leader Vorthik was captured, and the few surviving Krek ships fled back to their empire. But the Alliance didn't stop there. Over the next year, they liberated dozens of worlds that had been under Krek's control. The former slaves joined the Alliance as free equals. The Krek's empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, collapsed within 2 years. Some Kreks chose to reform and joined the Alliance. Others retreated to their home worlds and gave up conquest. The galaxy was finally at peace. 5 years later, Admiral Hayes stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Alliance headquarters, built in orbit around Earth. Through the windows, he could see ships from hundreds of species docking at the station. Captain Steve Morgan, now Director of Galactic Communications, joined him at the window. "Remember when we thought we were alone in the universe?" he asked. Hayes smiled. "Seems like a long time ago. Who would have thought that answering one distress call would change everything?" Dr. Corinne White, now head of the Alliance Science Council, approached them with a report. "Admiral, we've received confirmation from the Andromeda survey team. They've made contact with peaceful species in the next galaxy. They're asking for our help to deal with their own predator problems." Hayes laughed. "Well, we've had practice. I suppose we should help them too." Elder Zephyr of the Gentle Wines, now the Alliance's ambassador for peace, joined the conversation. "It is remarkable how the galaxy has changed. Before the humans came, most species lived in fear. Now we live in hope. That's what happens when—" "Good people refuse to let bullies win," Hayes replied. The Alliance had grown far beyond what anyone had imagined. It wasn't just a military organization anymore, but a true galactic community. Species shared knowledge, art, culture, and friendship across thousands of light years. And at the center of it all was Earth, the death world that had produced a species tough enough to fight monsters, but wise enough to choose peace. Lisa Martinez, now an old woman, still worked at the Pegasus monitoring station. But instead of listening for alien distress calls, she coordinated communications between hundreds of Alliance worlds. "Remember that first message from the Villani?" her assistant asked. Lisa smiled. "How could I forget? It changed everything. One call for help led to the greatest alliance in galactic history." As she spoke, new messages were coming in from across the galaxy. Scientists sharing discoveries, artists exchanging works, children from different worlds becoming friends through interstellar networks. But there were also new distress calls. Pirates in the Outer Rim, natural disasters on colony worlds, species that needed help learning to defend themselves. And every time, the Alliance responded. Not with conquest or domination, but with aid and support. The galaxy's former prey had become its protectors. The humans had kept their promise. They had saved not just the Villani, but everyone who needed saving. And in doing so, they had created something beautiful. A galaxy where the strong protected the weak, where differences were celebrated, and where no one had to face their problems alone. War leader Skarks, now a reformed prisoner working in the Alliance diplomatic corps, often reflected on how wrong he had been. The humans weren't just another predator species. They were something new, apex protectors who used their strength to build rather than destroy. The Krex thought the galaxy belonged to the strongest, he told new Alliance recruits during orientation sessions. But the humans taught us that it belongs to everyone. That is why they won. That is why we all